It was 1 week ago today that everybody's lives changed. Relationships ended. Lives became nothing more than sitting in front of our plasma screen TVs holding a small piece of plastic between our hands. No, we weren't doing that, you dirty bastards. Hello everybody and welcome to the promised GTA review. Thing is about this is obviously you're watching footage of the game whilst I'm talking, but I'm not alone for this one because I figure if I'm going to talk about Grand Theft Auto 5, who better to have on the show than the one person who spent approximately an hour and a half during the Tom's chat room talking about Grand Theft Auto. I'm joined at this time by James Buchanan. James, how are you feeling a week in from GTA 5? Have you showered in a few days?
Yes, no, I have. I'm very tired, but in answer to your thing of people saying, "Oh, don't be that dirty." If you think about it, with GTA, holding a little plastic thing in front of a plasma screen TV, that is very GTA.
But
So,
yeah, we're currently sitting here at 8 p.m. on Monday, which is almost a week since GTA 5 came out. We've held off this long because we both wanted to complete the storyline. So I will say it now, and I'll probably say it a couple of times throughout. We're going to be talking spoilerific in this game.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can't talk any GTA game without talking spoilers. There is
yeah.
absolutely no chance of doing it without a spoiler because I mean, whilst this isn't going to be like the most spoilerific kind of thing, because this GTA is very by the numbers,
Oh yeah.
it still goes without saying that, there are parts in this story which generally are quite big, but like I said, they are by the numbers as well, so it's kind of a sort of half and half.
So if you're one of those people who is yet to complete the game, hold off on listening to this until you've beaten it. And when we say beaten it, we don't mean 100%. We mean beaten the standard storyline missions, beaten all of the missions up until the final mission and the decision. And that's all I'm going to say because if you get this far and you're still listening, you want to know what's going on. So let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 5. Many years in development. You talked to me. We talked before when you were on Tom's chat room about how excited you and I were for the game. Me lesser than you, but I think Rockstar were less excited about this game than you.
Not until about late August when they started every day. I follow them on Twitter and they were posting pictures of like the big murals in like New York and Sydney. I think there was one in Germany. Like trains were having like giant posters on there. Like this is without a doubt probably besides I want to say probably the Call of Duty and maybe Battlefield games. This is probably one of the most heavily advertised games I've ever seen. Like
But
anywhere you went, there was advertisements for it.
yeah, so let's start off with the first bone of contention when it comes to this game. We are back in San Andreas. Well, sort of.
Yeah, I remember you said in the chat room back in June. You said, "Is this going to be an HD'd version of San Andreas in terms of
Yeah.
the map you play as? Is it going to be just remapped for HD?" And I went, "No, it's basically going to be a completely new map." But playing this game back,
It is sort of a little bit.
there are elements of San Andreas in there. I
Did you
mean, they
did
have changed.
did you find Grove Street?
Yep.
Oh
I'll
yeah.
tell you something. Spoiler already. When you do the Kiflon missions,
Yeah.
there's one where you have to get a car, and one of the only places to get that car is actually in Grove Street.
Yeah, I know. I bought the Grove Street garage, and there was that one mission where Franklin, Lamar, and Trevor, two of your player characters, and one of the most annoying characters in the history of GTA, had to fight off a bunch of ballers in Grove Street. That was quite an exciting mission because I was standing next to the rubble that used to be the Johnson house, where I spent lots of my time trying to get Harry a jump jet out of the garage. Um, uh, Fighting off fighting off what were a two-bit gang in GTA San Andreas. One thing that upset me just a little was that this game doesn't actually fit into the same timeline as San Andreas. Rockstar have said in the past that the 3D generation and the 2D generation, as they call it, are in two different timelines, because I really, really, really would have loved references to San Andreas more so. I mean, like, CJ's house was knocked down. Where the hell is he?
Well, I know they do make kind of slight references to San Andreas in
I
terms
saw an OG
of...
Lock poster.
Yeah, I mean, they do sort of make slight references. I mean, there's quite a good few references to GTA 4 in terms of loads of people going to Liberty City, Alderney, talking about they want to go to Liberty City because that's like the mecca of like money kind of place. Like that's become the new mecca kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of fine with that because once you get used to the whole idea that each era of a GTA series is its own like thing, then it's great because then I'd rather have something like that rather than have a game in which, say, for example, you take GTA 4 and then in GTA 5 it is just constant referrals back to GTA 4, and I'd feel that'd be a bit bad because anybody that hasn't played GTA 4 might not get the jokes or the inside a bit. But I mean, I was overall I was kind of fine with it. But I'll say this right now: between this and BioShock Infinite, it's really hard to pick on which is the better looking game.
Yeah.
Because GTA 5, I mean, granted, what they showed you in terms of the trailers and all that, that looks probably high spec PC. So the chances of it coming to PC are almost confirmed. It's just a matter of a release date. But BioShock Infinite is one of the best looking games. GTA 5, for the engine it uses and for the fact it constantly, whereas BioShock Infinite is very closed leveled, it's very refined, it's very detailed in the closed areas, GTA, all the GTA games have this habit, or not habit, they generally have an open world because it's, the innovation of sandbox. So they've got to constantly update this world in terms of make sure the textures are fine, make sure that there's no clipping, make sure the cars are moving as they should do, that the people are moving as they should do, that you've got people talking, you've got gunfights could be happening, a police chase could be happening. And I mean, besides maybe one or two times where I've had problems with clipping or I got stuck somewhere because of the clipping, this game there was no lag, no fault, couldn't fault this game at all besides one or two times.
One thing I will note that I really did like, it's something, I don't know if it's new because it's been a while since I played GTA 4, but when you finish a mission and you get that little sort of dialogue box up that tells you, mission passed, and these are your scores, so to speak, and then you sort of press X or A or confirm to get rid of that little screen. Characters that were standing in the position they were during cutscenes are still doing things. An example I'll have is I recently, because as I told you off air, I've started a new file just to sort of try some of the early missions again, and also because there were things I did wrong in my first playthrough that I'd like to correct. But I did a mission with what's her name, the Latoya, the black girl.
What the one that does the
picking up cars. Yeah, collecting all of the abandoned cars. And I got out of the truck and I just stood there for a second because I was taking a drink, pouring my drink into my cup. And she was on the phone talking to the guy she mentioned in the cutscene.
Yeah, JB.
For about 2 minutes, she was having a phone conversation, and I just stood there and listened to her phone conversation. Because normally you'd just walk away and you'd go about your business murdering pedestrians. But, and I just stood there and just listened to her conversation, and it added more to the story,
That's the big credit, I'll say, of GTA 5. I mean, they didn't really advertise this much. Not really until sort of, week of release. But I'd say the biggest thing in GTA 5 is there's essentially no loading screens. I mean, the only loading screen you get is when you bring up the map, which is just, for like 3 or 4 seconds and it pops up. But I don't think there was really any loading screens at all. It literally is a case of
When you respawn from death, you get a bit of a loading screen, and you get quite a long one starting the game up as well.
But the only but I mean, like the way it happens is like, say you're doing a mission with Michael, and you're going to like an airfield, for example. When you're close to that mission, say you're driving a car, it will stop the car for you. You'll get out, and then what it will do is it will zoom into where you basically should be going.
Yeah.
And it zooms in, and then a cutscene happens, but it's not in terms of it goes black, cutscene comes up. It's just a cutscene happens, and there's no. It just happens, and you just go.
Mm.
And I think it really helps with the flow of the gameplay, because as great as GTA 4 and all the GTA series have been, it really did sort of break flow when you're kind of like, right, this is the mission name, okay, and this is the cutscene, and then it's that part. Whereas now it feels like it's, well, Michael's going up, he's talking to the person, and as the person's walking away to do their bit of the mission, oh, I can do my bit of the mission.
Mm-hmm. Completely. So. It certainly flows better than any GTA game ever, and it flows better than a lot of modern games, to be honest. Because obviously I'll make comparisons between this and Saints Row 4, and comparison this with Saints Row 4. Saints Row 4 is really disappointing. Really, I mean, I really like that series, but I was really disappointed with Saints Row 4 in comparison to GTA 5 because. Between iterations, nothing really changed in Saints Row. Saints Row 3 to Saints Row 4, obviously you got all the superpowers and, cars are irrelevant and stuff like that. But apart from that, it's much of a muchness, the same kind of play experience. Whereas GTA 4 to GTA 5, there is a clear step up.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, and I've heard this from a couple of people, and I do agree that there are elements of GTA 4 which are incorporated into GTA 5, and I'm not talking like, certain bit. I'm talking there are certain bits of GTA 4 which I didn't like, which have been incorporated into GTA 5, but they refine them in a way that I think it's okay.
But do you want to go into a bit more detail on that? Because I'm not entirely sure what you're getting at.
The elements I didn't really like in GTA 4 were it's not. I mean, it's more so the. I mean, I kind of understand how they had to do it because there's three characters, but it's that case of there's this mission, but to do this mission you've got to do this mission, and then to do this mission you have to do that mission. I mean, they did kind of clear it up in this way, in the fact that you could literally just do any mission you want at any time.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big fan of the fact that you have to do these missions first before you can unlock to do these missions, Like, I feel it should be, if there's a mission that pops up on your screen, you should be able to do it. That's the other big thing I love about GTA 5. In all the previous GTA games, it used to be a case of some missions were time specific, which would literally be like, hey, come between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. to do this mission. No matter what time it is, if you want to do a mission, it will just then, if the mission is supposed to take place at night or any time during the day, it literally just fast forwards that day to that point.
It does that little sort of cutscene where, and the day just passes by you, sort of thing. I do really like that because I forever was finding in games where it was time specific. Okay, so I've got to do this. I've got to do this one at 6 p.m. All right, back in my car, all the way over to my safe house, going to bed for two sleep cycles to get to the right time period. Back in my car, drive all the way back over to the mission.
Or the worst ones would be like, it's like 6 p.m. and you're only like an hour away in game time, so you're thinking, well, there's no point saving it. Let's just drive around for an hour and just go back. It literally was a case of let's kill time.
Yeah.
It's like you're playing a game to kill time, but yet I'm playing a game to kill time in which I'm actually killing time in the game so that I can do a mission to play the thing that I'm doing.
Right, let's go into the three main characters. Let's talk about some of their finer points. As we did say, very spoilerific. If you've got to this point and you're still trying to avoid spoilers, seriously, why are you still here? Because we're gonna talk about the finer points of the main characters now. So now we are definitely getting into the stuff that you really do not want to hear if you haven't finished the game. So we'll start with the first character we see, which is technically Michael. Michael DeSanta, formerly Michael Townley. What did you think of his character, the character of the former bank robber who had essentially done good and was just sort of trying to live his life as a normal person after years of being on the job?
I'll say this right now. I don't know if anyone can ever see my profile on the Rockstar Social Club. If you can see it, and you can see my GTA comparison, like everything I've done. I use Michael the most in the entire game. I think it says here I've used him 46% of the time. Michael's my favourite character of the lot because
Yeah.
you see when you first see Michael. I mean, obviously he's outside, and then he sort of goes to the shrink, to his doctor.
Technically,
And
you see him in the prologue.
yeah,
The bald guy is Michael.
Yeah, but I'm talking more so the actual game itself, because I mean the prologue is, to be honest, as great as the prologue is, kind of could miss that.
It was a bit of a tutorial.
Yeah.
But you needed something like that because if it dropped you straight into the mission with Franklin, you could have problems.
But I will say this though, in the same way they did. I mean, I don't know why I keep comparing this to Bioshock Infinite, but these two games this year have done something absolutely brilliant. Bioshock Infinite, still in my eyes, had the best ever tutorial ever in a game. This is the best tutorial in the GTA game ever, because every single GTA game prior to that, their tutorial would last about 3 hours, because it would tell you how to drive, how to shoot, how to walk, how to run, how to swim, how to fly, This one, it literally is a case of, it's a mission, it tells you how to shoot a gun, how to drive, where to go, how to use GPS, how to use your map in one mission, and that's it, you're done.
I do think a fair chunk of it sort of plays off the fact, come on, you know what you're doing. You'll be okay. We're just not going to come at you really hard for a couple of missions. You'll be okay. You'll get used to it. Playing off the fact that if you have played one of the GTA 4, you'll be all right. You're fine. You might find the cars handle a little differently.
What I love about this as well is, if you take, for example, I'll get back to my thoughts on Michael, but if you take, for example, one of the first heists you do with Trevor, which I think is the Merryweather heist, if he doesn't think you're good enough in terms of whatever skill, like shooting skill, for example, like I was playing as Franklin, and I actually got a phone call from Trevor who basically said, by the way, can you raise up your gun skills for me? Which is almost a sus way of basically saying, this mission is going to be probably a bit harder than you think it is. Go to the ammunition store, raise up your gun skill, it'll be easy for you. Like, that's really cool.
I got that with Michael in my recent playthrough. The mission where you've got to go with him and pull down that geezer's house.
Yeah.
Michael said to me on the way back, I don't know if you hit anything, because your aim was all over the place, but you can get better, and this is how. And that was really good.
But going back to the Michael character, I really enjoyed the Michael character. I think the Michael character is it's like the almost anti-hero of, here is a guy that, was in the criminal underworld, stole millions and millions of dollars, and due to the events of what happens during the game, and you find out sort of the ins and outs of the history between Trevor and Michael, and obviously Brad, and how everything got involved, and how Michael basically evaded the last 10 years of his life and went silent as Trevor mourned the death of Brad and what he thought was Michael, who's died. And you just see, I felt a connection with Michael more than the other characters.
Completely.
Michael was this character of the case of, I've hit rock, I hit everything, then hit rock bottom, and now I just want to live my life. But because of the events of what's been going on recently, I have to go back to do what I wanted. And then the more you go through the game, the more Michael realizes, actually, I've missed this. I think I could do this again. It's just, I think it's a brilliantly written character. Franklin, on the other hand, I hated him.
Franklin was very much thinking, if I make all this money, this girl who's gone off with this doctor is clearly going to come back to me. And it's sort of like, you're there looking, mate, you're not even in the fucking friend zone. Seriously, this girl is not coming back to you. You are surrounded by strippers. Michael's daughter is about your age. Fucking go for it, son. Don't go after this unachievable woman.
The hilarious thing I loved about this was after you do the diamond mission or the jewelry store mission, where's the first place Franklin goes with his money?
Strip
To a
club.
strip club.
He's there at a strip club, and here's the worst bit. He phones this girl from a strip club with clear background noises of a strip club behind the phone call.
To which
she
the
goes,
woman
"Are
replied,
you in a strip
"You're in a
club?
strip club."
Seriously? Why are you calling me from a strip club?" And I was thinking the same thing.
What?
I'm perennially in the friend zone. I know exactly what it's like, right? I know about trying to put on a fake sense of security to try and look better than you really are. Seriously, Franklin, you're not even trying.
I also put this on Twitter. I said, Mafia 2 will probably go down in history as being the game with the most amount of swearing. I think it said the word fuck like 192 games. GTA 5 will go down in history as the most times the N word was ever used in a video game.
Oh my god, yeah. I genuinely got the impression Franklin exists in this game literally just to poke fun at Carl Johnson and Sweet. He's basically like, here's your Grove Street guy. He even wears green a lot.
Am I the only one? I don't know if this is just me being harsh. Every single time Franklin was speaking, I sat there just thinking, you sound like CJ.
Mm-hmm.
You really sound like CJ.
He sounds completely like CJ. I mean, I first thing I did, went to the barber shop, modified the characters. Did you know you could do that?
Yeah.
Take them to the barber shop, change their hair and beard. If you make Franklin bald and put a beard on him, he looks decent. Sounds terrible, but looks decent. That's about it.
I actually done something quite hilarious when you end up doing the jewelry store heist and then you end up going to the desert after a while. I don't know why, but I think I was just playing along with the storyline. I actually ended up with Michael while he was in the desert. I made him grow a full-length beard
and really long hair. Yep.
A really long hair.
Yep, I did the same thing. I made Michael look homeless too. Incidentally, if you put Trevor's hair at the longest and give him the long beard, right, you can make Bray Wyatt.
I've also heard. I can't remember if it's Trevor or Michael DeSanta, but there's one of them you can make one of them out of Breaking Bad.
I don't know Breaking Bad, but it's probably Michael, I would expect.
Mm.
I know Trevor, you can completely make Bray Wyatt. There's even floral shirts. The only thing that's missing is the hat. If I could find hats, my Bray Wyatt would be perfect. So since we've mentioned Trevor, let's talk about the ins and outs of the character of Trevor Phillips. Trevor Phillips, who turns up a little way into the game, and of course the first thing you see him doing is he's doing the girlfriend of Johnny Klebitz from the GTA 4, The Lost and the Damned.
That was a really cool cameo.
Yeah.
That was a really cool cameo, and it's like I put on Twitter, went, "Oh my god, it's Johnny! Johnny's in GTA! Johnny's in GTA!" 2 minutes later, he's getting his head caved in by Trevor's foot, and you're like, "Well, that's Trevor for you."
What did you think about the use of Johnny in the way that he was clearly a meth head?
That was a really cool idea. It's really cool. I mean,
he was clearly like a shell of what he used to be.
We can spoil GTA 4 now. It's been 5 years since it's come out, can't we?
Yeah.
Like, okay, GTA 4 The Lost and the Damned. Basically, in The Lost and the Damned, Johnny overtakes the day-to-day runnings of the motorcycle group The Lost and the Damned because the leader in there basically went to prison. You pull him out of prison. The guy who was in prison basically wants The Lost and the Damned to be this gung-ho, hookers, blow, drugs kind of thing, and Johnny wants to clean it all up. Long story short, Johnny ends up cleaning up The Lost and the Damned, and it becomes more of a profitable motorcycling group. So you look at Johnny and you're like, well, it looks like he's doing really well, and then you find out that Johnny sounds like he's a complete meth head gone off the rocks, and basically has hit rock bottom.
Yeah,
And you're like,
he's a total meth head. The gang is living in like a shanty town, whereas they had like that big nightclub sort of thing in Lost and the Damned. You know, they're living in like a shanty town, and one of the first missions is Trevor. You go and wipe out the entire gang. You know, whereas like Johnny was like this indestructible, really smart, completely with it character, the leader of this gang, and then suddenly he's like. He's just this complete meth head, completely messed up. Literally, like Trevor just talks down to him. The first thing Trevor does is basically says, "Well, I've got to fuck someone. Shall I fuck you?" And you can, if you look at Johnny's, the look in his face is literally like, if he's serious, I might just have to do this. I need my drugs.
and here's the other thing. I didn't see this because I saw there was something written on his throat, and I couldn't see it. And it's not until like later on, I can't remember what mission it was, and you realise basically what he's got is just like a whole load of dashes across his neck, and underneath it's got cut hair on it. Which are like, yeah, okay. Trevor is kind of. Madman doesn't describe Trevor enough.
Trevor is a psychopath.
I don't think psychopath describes him. He's just a complete lunatic.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favourite things to do is if you switch from character to character, if you switch to Trevor, occasionally you'll find him pissed out of his skull on an island in his underpants, wondering how he got there.
I've had one better than that, and I only got
in fact, this video started with him in that condition.
I've actually got one better than that. I got this afternoon playing it. Trevor was on the top of one of the mountains, dressed in nothing but a women's nightie.
I got him running out of a nightclub dressed in a woman's nightie. But a lot of the time, I find him in his tighty whities.
Yeah.
In various places, and then I'm just like, do you know what? I'm gonna switch back to Michael and let Trevor get himself out of this shit.
I've also had Trevor walking out of a club completely stoned out of his face, not drunk, stoned.
Yeah.
Can we bring that up also as well? The Rampage missions?
Yeah.
I'm so happy they're back because it's so hilarious.
There's the one that I like, which is just kill a bunch of hillbillies.
You've got my two favourite ones has to be either Minigun the Clowns or you're taking down the entire army with a grenade launcher.
yeah.
And it's like, you with a grenade launcher is able to take down two like Panzer like Tiger tanks. And you're like, yep, that's GTA.
And I'm pretty sure the one mission where one of your characters gets stoned to shit by the guy who's trying to legalize drugs, and ends up fighting a bunch of aliens. That has got to be a reference to the fact that Saints Row 4 had loads of aliens in it.
Have you done all of the drug ones for all three characters?
No, because I always bloody fail them.
I wish I could tell you what happened then.
Dude, go for it. I'm really not worried about being spoiled.
Yeah.
I've done aliens, clowns.
Yeah. So it's only Franklin you've got left then.
Yeah. What does Franklin end up against?
This is brilliant because this is just a total the case of if they're trying to do the stereotypical black man, like this is so racist.
Is he? Oh my god, KKK.
No. He smokes it and goes, "Shit, I don't know what you're smoking. That stuff's weak."
And then what? Does he have a mission or?
I think that's it.
No way. He literally
just smokes it and goes, "Man, that shit's weak." And literally just like, "This crap." And he goes, "Oh, I better, run away before the cops find me." And that's pretty much it.
Bloody hell.
It's like, I understand.
It doesn't bother him.
Yeah, it's like, I understand you're trying to say, hey, weed doesn't affect everybody. But it kind of comes off as quite racist.
If you were gonna do that it doesn't affect everybody, right? They should probably have gone along the lines that it doesn't affect Trevor because he doesn't have a right mind to be impaired. That would have been a better way. Trevor isn't bothered by it because Trevor's already nuts, doesn't have a right mind to be
I,
impaired.
but I love the fact that Michael, when he gets high, is aliens.
Yeah.
Trevor's is clowns.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
I know some people have fears of clowns, but um,
There's also, I actually ended up doing a side mission this afternoon where his mum comes back. You see Trevor's mum at the end.
I don't think I've seen
And
that.
you see Trevor's mum at the end, and she tells you to get some these drugs out of a van, and you take the van back to her, and his mum's not there anymore, and Trevor just breaks down and just like hysterically cries and just
Where's
like
my mum gone?
he does he literally just falls into like a fetal position and just like is holding himself in the corner.
I mean, Trevor is is without doubt the most insane character we've ever had in a GTA game ever. You know,
It's
nobody.
between him and Brucey from GTA 4 because
Oh
Brucey
yeah,
from GTA 4 was just mental.
yeah, yeah.
He was like you would do a mission with Brucey and GTA 4, and it'd be like, hey, go and kill these people or whatever it is. And then on the way you're driving back, he's talking about going, oh, I inject myself with shark testosterone or something just because I want to feel like a shark. And you're like,
Yeah.
dude, you're insane.
Well, there you go. There you go. If you wanted a segue, right off the bat, sharks are in this game.
There's an achievement for it as well.
I haven't done that because I'm scared of dying to sharks. I'm scared of being underwater.
That is the achievement. The achievement is go into the water and get killed by a shark.
That is terrifying. I've got a real thing about being underwater.
Mm.
Ever since I saw Jaws, I've got a thing about underwater now. I always have,
To get that achievement, you literally have to swim around and get killed by a shark.
Dude. Okay, let's sort of go on to some of the side characters a little bit. Was it you who didn't like Michael's family? Somebody I was talking to didn't like Michael's family. Found them to be irritating characters.
Here? Or
Yeah.
yeah, can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael's family are cunts.
I like them. I
Even
like
after
them because they come round in the end.
Well, Amanda and Jimmy does. I still think Tracy is complete cunt.
I think Tracy sort of comes round a little bit, but she comes round about as much as the typical Valley girl can.
Mm. Amanda comes around because I think she realizes, hey, I can't do better. Jimmy ends up being hilarious because he starts teabagging his own dad, which is quite funny.
What would have been fantastic is if during that fight at the house when the Merryweather guys raid in and kidnap Tracy and Amanda, if Jimmy stepped up and fought alongside his dad, I mean, and just used what he knew from if Michael, yeah, he plays a lot of first person shooters, so if Michael had sort of gone, I hope you know how to use this, son, but if you need to, you can. And then have Michael, when Michael got into trouble at the end, if Jimmy, instead of, charging and hitting that guy with that wrench, if Jimmy had just
No, that wasn't a wrench.
What did he hit him with?
A bong.
Hit him with the bong. I thought it was. Yeah. I thought that was a wrench.
No, it's a bong. Because if you go into his room early in the game, towards where his bed is, there's a bong.
I know you can get high on his bong. And Michael says some funny shit when you do that.
And you know when he spikes your drink or whatever it is?
Yeah.
That's the weed he was smoking in his bong or whatever it was. So I thought that was a great little insider thing. That is basically the thing that Michael gets pissed off with Jimmy about is actually what saves him in the end.
Yeah. But it would have been nice to see Jimmy sort of fight alongside Michael, and then you could have had a cutscene of the two of them surrounded by Merryweather guys and Jimmy shooting the guys to give Jimmy a sort of Jimmy's come good, he's learnt from his dad sort of thing.
Yeah. Also, there's actually, sorry to keep interrupting here, but the other great thing about Jimmy is if you listen to his cell phone, like it first starts talking about Jizzle and J-Pop and whatever all this
Tracy
stuff is.
does the same thing.
Yeah, and then when Michael tells him, get a job and all that, he actually ends up going, "This is James, blah 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 blah." At the end of the game, he actually does kind of part serious, part hilarious kind of thing.
Well, Tracy does the same thing. If you phone Jimmy, obviously Jimmy does that. If with Tracy's, you phone her at the early part of the game. She doesn't have a answer phone. When Michael and her and her mum and Jimmy leave Michael on their own, she turns into a porn star, which is basically, you've reached the voicemail of Tracy sucks. Leave me a message and I'll read it out live on cam. The hotter the better. Mwah. You know. She sort of blows a kiss at the end of it, and then when the family come back, it changes to, you've reached the voicemail of Tracy DeSanta. I'm probably studying. Nah, psych. I don't study. Leave a message and we can hang out. And I really liked the fact that you could use their voicemails to assess what the different states of mind of the character.
Mm.
I don't know if many people noticed that, but I really did like that one. Side characters, Lester Crest.
I don't think he's a side character. I think he's main.
Well,
He's definitely main.
when I say side character, I mean NPC. The
Oh,
major NPCs, because for me, your main characters are Mike, Frank, and Trevor, and then you got your other characters who are
yeah.
non-player characters, but are still the main part of the thing. But to me, they're side characters because I have no control over them.
Lester is great because when you first meet Lester, I mean, post the prologue, when you actually sort of meet Lester in the game,
Yeah.
you're thinking, oh, he's just a tech nerd that just talks to you over the
Hmm.
intercom, and he's just a. Throughout the game, he gets a really good character. His
Yeah.
character is really interesting. It's like the case of it's almost he's got this kind of I want to get back at the government, but if we're going to do this, we need to do this properly, kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like he's one of these people that it has to be done in the right way, otherwise he doesn't want to touch it.
Yeah. I really found Lester to be a character that definitely grew over the course of the game. Really grew on me. At first, I thought, oh god, this bloke, what's this guy? He is just a stereotype. Lives in a dark house full of Marvel movie memorabilia on one of the shelves. And it's just I'm probably not going to see much of this guy. And then sort of he turns into one of the characters you really like working with. Just because his interactions with Michael are quite funny.
Oh, and Trevor.
Yeah. But I mean he's also not that bad with Franklin, but he's not that
I,
bad.
I love any time Trevor talks to anybody,
Mm.
his two reactions are either, if you don't follow what I'll do, I kill you, or I love you so much that I'll kill you.
Yeah. Um uh while we're on characters, what did you think of Trevor? While you mentioned Trevor and his various reactions, what did you think of the Stockholm syndrome angle with Patricia Madrazo, where
Oh,
Trevor
yeah, yeah.
kidnaps the Mexican gangster's wife and he falls in love with her. Instead of her falling in love with him, he falls in love with her.
I love I love the whole idea that in this psychopathic just mental state that he's in, he does feel some sort of emotion,
He's just like a proper gentleman.
and the great thing about it is later in the games and all that, Patricia would ring him up,
Oh yeah,
or Trevor would send emails, and all the emails and all the phone calls would always end up with, if he ever hurts you or anything, and then she goes, I have to go.
yeah. One of the best ones was I was driving down a highway. I'd smashed into somebody's car, and Trevor had shouted something at them. Do you want me to get out and slit your throat or something? And then the phone rings. It's Patricia. I answer it, and he suddenly goes from this sort of crazy ranting psychopath to Mrs. Madrazo, Patricia, how are you? And he's like He's like the 14-year-old boy that's trying to talk to the cheerleader.
The other one I also like as well is just Trevor's infatuation with jerking people off. When Trevor ends up riding to Los Santos with him, because it Ron or something, it's like, this is going to be a long journey. You might want to jerk me off. I'm not going to jerk you off. All right then, or suck me off then.
Oh yeah. What did you think of Wade? Which was that character you're talking about? Who was the guy in clown? Who was the guy in Juggalo clown makeup? Who I think is supposed to be disabled, but I say that questioningly because is he just supposed to have been hit around the head too many times, or is he actually supposed to be sort of learning disabilities?
I think he's been hit around the head too many times. If you're with Trevor, you've been hit around the head too many times.
Because he does come across very much like a little bit learning disability. You know, maybe he's inbred. I don't know.
I also love how in this game they attack just about everybody as they normally do, but the fact that I think that Michael called Trevor a hipster.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And a whole drive where Michael explains that Trevor's a hipster.
And it's like, oh, you're wearing the sweatpants and you're worried about, what was happening 10 years ago. It won't be long until you've got the skinny jeans and the skinny t-shirt with the glasses on. And you just hear Trevor go, I am not a hipster.
And then Michael just goes, denial, first sign of being a hipster. And the whole drive, Michael is trying to convince Trevor he's a hipster. That was one of the best things because obviously shortly after that, their friendship breaks down a bit.
Breaks down a bit, implodes.
Their friendship breaks down completely, and they don't really have those moments anymore after that. And it would have been amazing. It would have been really good if they could have come round to it. Right, shall we go into potential endings?
I've only done the first one. I've seen the videos of the other two.
I've seen videos of 1 and 2, and I did 3.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did 3, and I've seen 1 and 2.
Because there was no way I was doing either, because you cannot 100% it if you do 1 or 2. Because if you do 1 or 2, we're in spoiler. Let's just talk about it. You get a phone call. You get a guy come around to Franklin's house. Devon. What's his surname? Fuck. Devon. It's not Nicholson. No, Devon.
Sanders, I think, isn't it?
Devon. Yeah. Well, that guy comes around. The rich guy comes around to Franklin's gigantic house. Actually, bigger than Michael's house. I'll note. Franklin's gigantic house, and says to him, "You've got to kill Michael." Franklin has already, prior to this, been told by the police that he needs to kill Trevor. So then the game gives you a 3-menu option. Option 1, kill Trevor. Option 2, kill Michael. Or option 3, kill everybody but Michael and Trevor. And at that point, it's got to be said that if you want to play with all the characters at the end of the game, you've got to pick option 3. But what did you think of the way that they did that, giving you the option to kill 2 of the main player characters?
It was interesting how they did throughout the game, because it's not like a case of 5 missions before the end. Oh, towards the end of the game, you have to kill these people. That's it.
It built
game
up
over.
most of the way through.
Through the entire game, it was them saying to you, "Look, Michael's going to blab or something. You're going to have to kill him." And then obviously, the other organisation is going, "Trevor's the problem because he's completely off the rails. You're going to have to kill him." But when I got the choice, this is one of the first games where In most games where you get this choice of do you want to kill them or do you want to save them, I normally kill them because to kill them you normally get the better ending.
Yeah.
Whereas in this game, it's not a case of you don't.
In this game, you don't.
In this game, it's not the case of you don't 100% it. In this game, it's the case of I built up such a great.
Yeah.
I loved Michael and Trevor and the way they built this character up. I didn't want them to die. I thought they were so well built up.
I considered killing Trevor. I had that option come up and I thought, you know, maybe killing Trevor would be the right thing to do. There's no way I'm killing Michael because I absolutely love that guy. Do you know what? I think it's better if I don't kill either. Option C, go. But what did you think of the missions that you had where you actually went and took on those characters? For me, I think the Trevor death is one of the most horrendous, one of the most sort of brutal things I've ever seen.
But in a way, it kind of
fits Trevor.
The Trevor death in a way kind of encapsulates the entire character.
Yeah.
Like he kind of does make mention that basically if Trevor is to go down, it's by his hand, and that if he's going to go down, it's not going to be like a one gunshot thing. It's like he's literally going to have to be dragged through hell to kill him.
And he went down in hellfire, you know. Because just for those who haven't watched the videos of that, Trevor, you have a massive car chase with Trevor, which ends in Trevor crashing into a petrol tanker.
Yeah.
He falls out of the car covered in blood, beaten half to death, and lands in a pool of petrol. And then Franklin takes one shot, which you take. You take one shot with your handgun, lighting the petrol on fire and blowing Trevor to shit, burning him alive. Well, until he dies. Now that I think was, I wasn't expecting it that. I genuinely thought we'd have a massive gunfight, and you know Trevor would go down, and you know I did not see something like that. That very much reminded me, and I don't know if you're a Metal Gear Solid guy, but that very much reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 3, the final battle with the boss, where you have to shoot the final shot.
No, I know what you mean. I thought that if you were going to do this whole kind of Franklin versus either Trevor or Michael, I thought it was going to be like the final duel you do in Red Dead Redemption with Jack Marston and was it Bob Edgar? Rob Edgar? I can't remember his name. Is Bob Edgar or whatever it is. I thought it was going to be something like that. Obviously, it wasn't going to be like a duel like showdown, but I thought it actually was going to come down to Trevor pulls out a shotgun or something, you pull out a shotgun or something, and it's going to be a case of who blinks first.
Yeah.
But the death. Whew,
yeah.
I mean, it's not the most brutal death in terms of, oh my god, it's squeamish, you know, limbs are flying everywhere. But it's such an impactful death that you're like...
The fact that he's screaming all the way through. You know, he goes up in flames, and instead of just burning away really quickly, you just, you know, you can hear the flames searing away at his flesh. He's screaming for about 30 seconds. You know, that was just something that I really didn't see coming. Now let's get on to the other option, which is the Michael situation, which ends in Franklin chasing Michael up a tower. They have a fist fighting cutscene, and Michael falls over the side. Franklin grabs his hand, and in a similar to the GoldenEye ending of the film, you know, Franklin's arm is reached down, holding Michael's hand, and you have the option: pull him up or drop him, which has the same result either way. Now, I thought they'd give you the option there. If you pull Michael up, you can go back on your decision, and then you can sort of have Michael as an antagonist that is trying to kill you, kind of thing. Or even you pull him up and he kills you. That would have been interesting if you pull him up and he kills you. But obviously, in reality, even if you pull him up, Michael headbutts Franklin. Franklin releases his grip, and Michael falls. But I really got the feeling that if you kill either Trevor or Michael, the game treats that as the bad ending, because you sort of have Franklin and the remaining guy sort of talking about how that probably wasn't a wise idea, and this life is not for me, sort of thing. Whereas they're all really happy-ish at the end if neither is killed. Would you agree with me on that?
I completely agree that they do kind of tempt you into saving all three and that you really shouldn't do that. But I think that if you play this entire game and you don't choose to save either of them, that you choose to kill one or the other, then either you've got a really polar opposite view of the character you're killing,
Yeah.
or there's just something in that game that you didn't like about that character that you just want to end. But I think both Michael and Trevor were such great characters. I didn't even think about once of killing. Like every single time it came up saying that, oh, you're going to have to kill them. All I'm thinking is, no, I want to kill you.
Yeah. Completely. Yeah. I was like, seriously, I'd rather just kill you. Obviously, if you choose the option that you and I both chose, which is to not kill either, you then have a series of missions where you kill everybody else. What did you think of that premise?
I love the whole idea of they talk about tying up loose ends, and they're all in these areas, and each character. Do you know what I love also as well is when Michael said, everybody does something different because we don't want someone who is associated with the person to end up having the problem. So Michael ends up taking out Franklin's problem, Trevor ends up taking out Michael's problem, and Franklin ends up taking out Trevor's problem. Like, that is just, it's a really clever idea.
Yeah.
So Franklin goes after the Chinese.
Yeah, Franklin goes after the Chinese bloke. Trevor takes out the
FIB guy.
No, the FIB guy, and Michael takes out the baller.
Yeah.
Gang leader.
Stretch.
Yeah.
And then after that happens, you go back to Trevor, and Trevor goes after, I think it's Devin. And
Trevor kidnaps Devin, and then the final cutscene is them pushing him down a hill.
Which is, I think, the drive of the last drive that you do of Devin in the
boot. Yeah, in the boot.
And the fact that the sun is slowly going down and turning towards the sunset, I think it's like a really nice sort of epilogue to the game.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something that kind of has just blown my mind. Okay.
Mhm.
You know Michael DeSanta in Red Dead Redemption.
There was a Michael DeSanta in Red Dead Redemption?
Michael DeSanta is the antagonist in Red Dead Redemption. He is the captain of the Mexican army.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, Vincent DeSanta is the captain in Red Dead Redemption. It's widely considered, although never been confirmed,
ancestor.
that Vincent is actually related to the DeSanta family in GTA 5.
They can't. It can't be. The DeSanta isn't their name.
Yeah, but it's no. Doesn't matter. They could have had a different name. Different name doesn't mean it's a different gene pool.
Very loose.
Yeah, it's a very loose connection
because
there, but
it's established early on. It's established mid-range in the game that Michael changed his name when he went into witness protection.
Yeah, but they do have a habit of Rockstar games do have a habit of carrying over character names. So
what you could say is there's a fair bit in common between, I think it's Michael and John Marsden.
Yeah.
Not in the fact that he's like him, but in the fact that he's done bad, he's trying to do good, can't help it, ends up doing bad. Ends up doing bad against his better judgment initially, You know, um, there's a fair bit in that, but that's quite loose. That link to the Desanta in Red Dead.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Rockstar Games have this habit of
Maybe
um,
they obviously will have used the name from there. Thought, well, the name sort of works.
I said they have the habit of being very loose with their connections, but you know, I do agree, but it's just fun to get stuff like that because it always gives you that thought of, well, possibly.
Let's talk about one of the main elements that was teased about the game that is quite a major element: heists.
Yes,
There's five of them, right?
6.
Six. I'm trying to remember them all now. Yeah, the first one obviously being the jewelry shop robbery. Which way did you go with that? You've got to
I
pick an
think
option, haven't you? You've got to go in quiet or loud.
I went smart.
You went for smart. I went loud. I went loud just because I thought, oh, I'll just do that, and I wanted to sort of, and if you go in loud, it's almost like Payday the Heist,
Yeah, but
storming
see,
through the doors, pointing guns.
with Payday the Heist for me, I always tried to go for sneaky sneak. I always tried to go a bit stealthy. So when it was just like, hey, you can do a stealth jewelry heist, it's like, I can do this in my sleep.
Yeah, I went in loud. What did you use the most expensive crew?
The first time, yes.
Do you know what happens if you don't?
If you
If you
don't,
don't use the most expensive gunman, he
one of them will die.
on the escape he crashes into a wall and you lose a third of your money.
Not necessarily.
You can get off the
Some
bike and pick it up,
Franklin will sometimes, or Franklin can sometimes pick it up.
but it's difficult to get him to do that.
Yeah.
So, um, it's
But what?
always
But what?
better.
Oh, go on.
It's always better to do the most expensive option because the chances of bits going wrong and you losing out on money is less worth taking the risk than paying out more in the end.
I've also found a slight cheat for this game, and this is
Ooh.
not in terms of do a cheat isn't up, down, left, right, left, right.
Do
I
do
found this
tell.
out quite. I found this out quite early. Um, if you do the ammunition missions in terms of go to the store and you do the target practice,
Mm.
the more medals you get in terms of if you do all silver or bronze and all that as well, it gives you a percentage discount on all of your weapons.
Oh.
And I believe it's something. I think I'm on about 25%. I want to say
Hmm.
there's a 25% discount. Here's the great thing: once you buy a weapon, you've bought it.
Yeah.
All you need to do is just then equip it. You can actually put full ammo on there. So instead of buying just ammo for it, if you press X, it goes to full ammo, which you can literally just buy 8,000 rounds of ammo, which
Ah.
basically covers you for the entire game. So
Yeah.
I've worked out that if you buy every single gun, because what I basically did was I made sure that every single character was equipped fully with every weapon, every silencer, every single gun of mine had all of the attachments on them, all the suppressors, all that on there. I worked out that I think overall you spend just under about 50 or 60k for each character,
Ah.
which when you're doing these heist missions is nothing.
Yeah, completely. When you sat there having beaten the final mission and like, so what do I do with 23 million then?
Yeah, but I will say though, I don't know how much it costs in terms of it if they have no discount, but with like the 20% discount, really, really easy to make as much. Yeah, but basically, you get about 8,000 rounds of bullet with every single weapon, except the minigun when you get 10,000 rounds.
Hmm, that's cool.
And it's not,
Um,
I wouldn't say it's a cheat, it's just something I just found in the game. I was just like, that's
it's
kind of
not. It's
awesome.
not. It's not. It's not cheating to take advantage of things that are in the game. A lot of people would say, oh, that's a bit cheating, and but it isn't, because it's not a cheat. It's in the game for you to use. If you don't see it, that's your own fault, really.
Mm.
So what do you feel we've missed anything? Is there anything any other part of the game you wanna get into?
I think other bits and pieces I want to bring up. The fact that you can hang out with people, but
Yeah.
it's not brushed in your face. It's not constantly them ringing up for you to hang out.
Hey
It's you
cousin,
can choose when to
let's
hang
go
out with
play
somebody.
pool. Hey
Yeah,
cousin, let's go bowling.
like the only way to get 100% in this game is to do stuff like that. Is to do the hangouts with people and to do
I've never done
the.
any of them.
Well, I'm doing it for the 100% because you have to do it for the
Is there
100%.
is there anything interesting in there? Like, if you hang out with a character, can things happen? Can you go? Can you do jobs work with them and stuff like that?
No, it literally is a case of, hey, can you pick me up? Cool, where do you want to go? And then you can take them to a bar, a cinema, a strip club. You can play darts with them, play a game of golf with them, or play
Oh,
tennis with them.
okay. I
So,
think I think I'm gonna take Michael's wife to a strip club then, just for the sake of
if
doing it.
if she answers the phone,
Yeah, which she doesn't.
ever.
Yeah.
Even when Michael and her are on good terms, kind of at the start of the game, she still doesn't answer a phone.
No. But at the start of the game, you can understand why, because she's sleeping with somebody.
Yes.
The tennis coach, the yoga
Uh,
instructor.
the other thing I also want to bring up, the destructible environments. Whilst a lot of it is very static in terms of concrete blocks won't explode,
Mm.
concrete blocks don't crumble. Some of the environments do actually break,
Hmm.
which is kind of, I mean, it's not big things, but they are kind of interesting. And also, what I also mean by destructible environments is the destructible physics as well. Like when you're flying a plane, instead of just the plane blowing up, a wing can
Will
be
come
ripped off.
off. Yes. Yes.
A car, if you're
Yeah.
driving a car, if you're driving a car and you crash in a certain way, a tire could become stuck and
Mm.
it becomes impossible to drive it.
I
Or
um I bashed into a taxi whilst driving a van and knocked a wheel off the car.
yeah,
That I was like, oh my god, that is really cool. I
like
slammed this car, and one of the wheels came off, and the car just went and just sort of tipped.
the other great thing I've also realised is planes. In terms of if you're driving the small planes like the stunt planes, if you keep holding down the engine and keep revving that engine,
It can burn
it
out.
will explode. It will
Yeah,
burn out and explode.
yeah, that is
And it's
really cool. Yeah.
And I think the one thing we've missed, but we need to bring up, the driving in this game is so much better.
Oh, it's so smooth. It's so
It's it,
smooth. Yeah.
the best thing I've heard is it's a combination of GTA 4 meets Saints Row 3/4.
Uh,
It's realistic, but it's so smooth.
mhm.
Like turning a corner isn't the case if you have to brake and then turn. It is literally a case if you can power slide around the corner, keep the power
Mhm.
slide going, and then just. And here's the other thing: the cars in this game aren't officially licensed, but they are modelled after real life cars. So
Yeah.
there are minis.
The cars. The
You
cars that
get
you have to use
minis.
for the cars that you have to use for the final heist are Dodge Chargers, I think. I think
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
Dodge Chargers. I think that's what they're called.
yeah, I mean, you've got obviously all the ones that everybody knows: minis, Audis, Lamborghinis are in there,
It's
Ferraris.
really been bothering me. What is Michael's main car?
It's an Audi.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, I've seen that before. I just can't put my finger on what it is.
His is an Audi. I think Michael's is not Michael. Sorry, Franklin's is.
Is that a
I
Subaru?
want no. It's. I want to say it's a Shelby Mustang kind of thing.
Mm,
It's got the body look of a Shelby
mm.
of a current Shelby Mustang, and Trevor's is just a pickup truck, really.
Trevor's is just a pickup truck with stuff in the back and
Yeah,
the
it's like a
sort of
modified. It's like almost like a Dakar Rally kind of modified pickup truck.
yeah, because it's got the seating in the back, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it's got the floodlights on the top.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, in this game you get golf cart. It's like some of the special ones, golf carts, quad bikes. You get your normal like sort of Sanchez dirt bikes, your power bikes, your normal speed cars,
What did you make of the James Bond car that you got at one point
and the
with
fact that you could,
the
and the
tire
fact
splitters?
and the fact that when you're taking the shipment to the top of the thing, that you can actually end up using it as well.
Yeah,
And it's like the hilarious thing is like you can use these guns. No, I just kept
tire
putting out
splits,
spike
the
strips.
tire spikes. Yeah, yeah. Which was just like dropping like a box of thumbtacks out the back out the exhaust pipe.
Oh, I mean that it's a shame.
That is clearly a reference to the DB5, isn't it?
Oh, it's up all these. Yeah, 99% of these cars have a reference to an actual car. Like you've got references to the Rolls Royce Phantom from 2003.
It would have been amazing if one of the cars you had to steal for that mission was a DeLorean,
Do you know the one thing I love is
complete with
I
gull-wing
can't
doors. You know.
one of my favourite ones is if you go into the hills where all the expensive houses are, the amount of Range Rovers you see.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Like coming from a UK standpoint, where Cheshire over here in the UK is basically considered to be one of the richest parts of the UK, and in Cheshire is where they have the most number of Range Rovers.
Mm.
Like to see the amount of Range Rovers in a rich part, like if that's a piss take on the UK in a USA game, that's really funny.
To me, I just look at it as it makes sense if you're living in the mountains that you have a car that can handle hills. You know, but I quite like the fact that most cars can handle hills.
I love that.
I drove up Mount Chiliad in in Michael's car, you know, in the Audi,
Mm.
and then rolled down the hill, hit a tree, and the car exploded. It didn't just
Oh,
sort of like catch fire and sort of slowly burn and then blow up. It was rolling down a hill, it hit a tree, and exploded completely, insta-killing me.
there is one thing we have left to talk about this game before we can wrap it up.
Mm.
The phone.
Yeah.
Because this phone is awesome.
Oh yeah,
Simply for the
completely.
fact
The
is
internet,
it has the internet on the phone, which means you don't have to go to a cafe anymore, which is the one thing I hated about GTA 4, because every single time you wanted to do something, it was like, drive to the cafe, open up a cafe, open up this, open up that, drive out, do the thing. No, you can do the thing as you're doing it.
um uh I know it said, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong, but when you get emails and you choose to reply, it seems to say that you can change the response somehow, but you can't,
You
can you?
can't.
The
No.
response is standard.
The response
Because
is
I
standard.
thought there'd be a couple of options and you could sort of up and down different people depending upon what you say.
No, the response is standard.
Have you noticed some of the comical text you can get from Michael when you're playing as Franklin really early on in the game? When you take Amanda's car back, if you drop it into the drive and end the mission, walk back in, steal it, and piss off, he texts you saying, "Where the fuck is Amanda's car?" And you can also do the same with Tracy's car, and he'll text you and say, "Tracy's car is gone." That's not cool, bro. And it's sort of
The other
like,
one,
why is the first thing Michael thinks of is, well, my black friend was here recently. I should probably ask him what's going on with my stolen car.
do you know the other awesome one? Is if you're playing as Trevor or Franklin and you shoot at Michael's house, he'll send you a text going, "Can you please stop shooting at my house?"
I've never done that. I'm going to try that. That's cool. I didn't know that. But what I really loved was Michael sent those texts, even though Michael wasn't even at the house. I know he wasn't there because I put him in a cab, and he was at a cafe, you know. He hadn't got home yet because obviously I would have got there before him. But I like that, and I really did enjoy I mean, this is honestly one of the most entertaining games I've played in years.
Yeah, now this is the hard point. As I think we should start closing up
Yeah,
now.
we're
This
gonna
is the
start
hard
some.
point. This is the hard question for me. Is this game of the year? Because
I
as
think
much as I love this game,
I think it's got to be.
as much as I love this game, and I've hyped up this game, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't think this is game of the year.
Ah,
It's so good, but I just think Bioshock Infinite takes it for me for game of the year because is this is sound weird. This is going to sound weird, but here's my working out. Here's my explaining.
go ahead.
GTA 5 obviously had 5 trailers, and that was it before we got the actual release. Like, it was
Yeah.
superly quietly done, but I mean, that's Rockstar's way. Like, Rockstar have this habit of really being quiet, and the only time you get to know about the game is when it's released fully for retail.
Yeah.
Bioshock Infinite was kind of different, where Ken Levine would sit there and say to you, "This is what we're going to do. This is the plan. We're going to release this, this, and this," and off to the races he went. GTA 5, I think for me there was so much hype behind GTA 5, and it lived up to it and has exceeded it. Whereas Bioshock Infinite, for me, there was hype, but everybody was so down on of Bioshock 2.
Yeah.
I mean, if you compare GTA 4 to GTA 5, GTA 4 was universally liked. It's just over the years people were like, it's not as good. Bioshock 2,
Here's a question for you. Comparing GTA to a game like Bioshock that comes out more often, especially comparing it to there'll be a lot of people who'll say, well, the best game of this year is clearly Call of Duty, you know, and like, could you compare GTA to a Call of Duty because
no, nope.
GTA comes out once every console cycle ish, give or take. If we had a GTA game once a year, would we still be talking about how amazing this game is? Because rather than 5 years, here's your new GTA game with all this new stuff. Or
It
would we be
wouldn't be
like,
physically
well,
possible.
it wouldn't be. No, it wouldn't. I don't think it would be as good because we'd have it all steadily. You know, here's this bit, here's that bit. You know, here's the
Yeah, I
other
mean,
bit.
the thing with a sandbox game is if you look at any I've never seen a sandbox game being released yearly
No,
because it's physically impossible to do it. I mean, GTA 5 is the exception because GTA games generally take years to make because they try to make it as expansive as possible. Saints Row is smaller, Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls is different because, they've been getting bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where they're doing Elder Scrolls Online.
yeah,
Sandbox games have this habit of it's not about it's not the main mission is the meat of the game, but it's not just about the main mission. It's about what do you do in this virtual world that basically you have control over. These sandbox games almost are kind of a godlike type of games. It's like you are God. What are you going to do, kind of
there
thing.
is one more question I've got for you mentioning online.
Yep.
GTA 5, now I've heard this a lot in a lot of other podcasts. Is this the last GTA the last main game GTA we're going to get? And will they just keep expanding GTA Online that we're getting next week?
I
Will they
think
just keep
GTA.
expanding it, or will we get another
No,
GTA in a couple of years?
you'll get another GTA game for sure. GTA 6, I guarantee you, or a version of a new GTA game is being made today, right now.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think they'll just sort of, okay, the next game we're going to do is going to be sort of the 3D version of Vice City. I'm just throwing shit at the wall here,
Yeah,
nothing's been talked about, but let's just say they're
I
like, okay, we've done San Andreas, right, we'll do Vice City next. We're going back to Vice City. Here's sort of a 3D Vice City. Oh, by the way, for those of you that buy the game, here's a code for GTA Online. You will be able to access Vice City
I
as well as San Andreas.
I think what they're doing is because GTA 4 essentially stopped like August 2009. Once the Ballad of Gay Tony came out, GTA 4 just kind of stopped, and that was like 3-4 years in reality where there was no GTA content. I mean, they re-released GTA 3 and Vice City on the iPhone,
Yeah.
and there was all this hype for GTA 5.
Mm.
I think GTA Online is the stopgap between the next year. And I'm not saying that, GTA 6, whatever it is, the GTA 6 is going to happen. No doubt about it.
When do you think, just sort of, if you had to put your money on when we'll see another GTA game, when would you say that's going to be?
Earliest?
I mean,
Absolutely.
if you absolutely had to say now, when do you think we'll see it?
Earliest 2017.
Yeah. I
If
think it could be looking more down towards 2020, and I think they'll
mm,
really stretch out GTA Online.
I think they're going to have to
There's
release
so
because
much you can do with that. Because
now
I honestly think they'll do DLC for GTA Online and a new city. I really do.
well, they have confirmed that there is. I think they've said something along the lines of there is like a 10-year cycle or something for GTA Online or something like absolutely insane. I mean, obviously there are the rumors that there's going to be 500 missions on launch, and I think they're expanding it to 700. And there is rumors stating as well that
It
the
continues on from the main storyline, doesn't it?
and not only that, but I've heard other rumors saying that the GTA Online, because they've remapped San Andreas, there is a possibility that in these missions you could essentially go to other cities, which they've said
Here's
people
he,
have now rumored that, well, could that possibly mean Liberty City,
there's
Vice City?
another here's another question. If GTA Online is continuing on from the main storyline, which ending is canon?
I
Because
think
they are going to have to say, you know, obviously, here's your example. You killed Michael, right? I mean,
yeah.
you didn't, but here's your example. You've killed Michael. If you boot up GTA Online, first thing you see is Michael. You're gonna be like, well, that's a bit of bullshit because I killed that
I
arsehole because I don't like him.
I I think where you've read that, I think that has to be a lie. I don't think they can physically do that. I think it literally will be a case of um,
I think it'll continue on from the main storyline based on if you didn't kill one of them.
I
And
think I think personally what they'll do is they'll just do it in a case of. I think it'll just be a case of GTA Online is separate to the main game, but it has influences from the main game involved.
I would absolutely be made up completely if I could take missions from the characters I've played as in the main game.
Mm.
Just sort of, you go and you go and do a heist as a new recruit on the team with Michael and Frank. And hell, you could even kill them off in the first mission, have it go wrong, so that you're on your
I
own.
I think the way that the GTA Online is working is it's separate to the game in terms of the fact that you're playing with your friends rather than playing with NPC characters. So I think where people are misjudging this is I think GTA Online is essentially going to be an entirely separate thing to GTA 5, but it's being tagged onto it because it's
Well,
the GTA 5
apparently,
game.
what I've heard is to access rather than going to a menu and going like that, you're just going to
You
go
press
into the
down.
character switch and press down,
Yeah, you hold down because you've got the three guys and you've got the one at the bottom which is blacked out at the moment.
which is going to be your custom character, is what
Which
I've heard.
means which means if there's like a multiplayer thing and you literally can just press down and you go instantly into multiplayer with no lag, no loading up screen. If they can pull that off,
Yeah.
well, that's impressive.
Mm. I'm not going to touch it for a few days after it first hits though, because I
The
think that
server's going to break.
the server is going to be like,
But I wonder if this 2 week gap between single
is
player and
to
multiplayer
let it
is
build the server up.
because of SimCity, Diablo, the Call of Duty games,
Mm.
they suffer from extensive server damage that first weekend or whenever it gets released.
Mm.
I wonder if GTA Rockstar have looked at this and gone, let's spend 2 weeks with everybody playing a single player, and let's get GTA Online to a point that when we open the servers, we've got enough that if we get an influx of people playing it, there's enough server space that we won't hit a big wall and everybody
I
goes to shit.
I found myself at war with YouTube commenters recently related to GTA Online. Now I'm gonna say what I said in the comments, and I'd like you to use your increased brain power to inform me if what I am saying is retarded, as the gentleman kindly told me.
Did he say retarded or retarded? Because
Retarded. He said retarded. He
okay.
spelt it correctly, which is
Um,
point for you, sir. You spelt it
Yes,
correctly. This is
because
quite.
the amount of times I've been called a retard.
What's quite humorous is this is going up on YouTube. Yeah, I found myself. I posted the comment. I said I do worry about GTA Online. Whilst yes, I am very excited for it. I am very concerned that it's not going to be policed properly. By that, I mean, what is there to stop 12-year-old Jimmy from calling your mum a whore and then shooting you in the head? Because otherwise, people who leave it for a little bit like me and occasionally come on are going to be up against the people who play it 12 hours a day, every day, in their underpants. You know.
Mm.
And the guy said, I don't know what you're talking about, but I think that's. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. What you're suggesting is retarded. I had a 5 or 6 comment rant saying I don't like your use of the word retarded. I've got friends who are mentally
Did
disabled. I think they'd be offended. I'm offended on their behalf.
did he explain any
Nope.
reasoning as to why he
No.
thought it was
He
retarded?
just told me what I said was retarded, and that was it.
I mean
Um,
that basically, you know, uh,
But do you think I have a point in my comment? The point being, what is there to stop other players just going on a rampage and killing you while you're trying to just exist
you,
in this world?
you do have a point, and I mean they tried their best to do it in Red Dead Redemption. I mean Max
Mm.
Payne is a bit different because it was more a team deathmatch kind of situation. They
Because
did
I'm
it
very
with
concerned it'll end up being like a first-person shooter, which is as soon as you spawn, immediately start killing whoever's
no.
around you.
They do. I think this is going to take from Red Dead Redemption, in which they have said heavily that the groups you formed in Max Payne 3 you
Mm.
can transfer over to GTA 5, and each room is going to, or server or whatever spatial, whatever you call it, is going to have 16 players maximum.
Oh,
So you can essentially have your own private rooms. You
Oh,
can create these
so
private rooms.
you're not going to be in like you're not going to be like dropped
No,
straight into GTA server
nope,
where every person
nope, no.
is a player control character and is out to just blow your balls off.
No, Rockstar did confirm a couple of months ago that GTA Online won't be everybody on it. It won't be a massive server. It'll be 16-player server each only. And of those 16 people, obviously, then that way you can
Mm.
play with your party and with anybody you want. So
Because
you're safe on that
because
part.
like I mean I don't know if you've got it on PS3 or 360, but I would rather just go on and play with a couple of my mates, and just sort of
That
have a chat
the,
on Skype while we're doing it, sort of thing.
the point of GTA Online isn't like the old GTA games or where GTA 4 where it's like team deathmatch or free roam mode. The point of GTA Online is to make money and do heists and do missions and get better and be leveled up. It's
Yeah,
more a team based thing rather than it being a me versus the world.
because that was the one thing I had this concern, and it's happened to me recently. It's happened to me before. I've picked up an old game second hand, gone into the multiplayer mode. Immediately my head and shoulders have been turned into two separate living entities. And there's a comment that talks about the either the sexuality of one of my parents, or the faithfulness of my mother, and it just sort of, I was very concerned that it would end up being, effectively, I'd end up against a bunch of people like Jimmy DeSanta.
I can't guarantee that won't happen, because you will get that. But like I said, you can create your own private servers in the game as well. So if that does happen, just jump on a private server, you're fine.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I was questioning how they'd go about policing it. So would it be like, unless something occurs to turn you and fucking Jimmy into hostiles, you can't touch each other, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know how.
So I just had this image of Dickbag McGraw hanging out on a building top, pointing his sniper rifle to where people regularly spawn by a fountain, and just as soon as somebody spawns, separating their head and shoulders without moving an eyelid.
I think if they're going to follow possibly a Red Dead Redemption multiplayer thing, because the map is so expansive, I don't think they're going to run into that trouble of spawn killing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously I'm not.
That's you saying that 16 people maximum has really eased my mind, because I was quite concerned. I was very much concerned about that.
Yeah, no, Rockstar came out a couple of months ago saying that it's going to be 16 people online maximum per server, which arguably people have said it's a bit too small because the map is so big, but you could only have 16 people in Red Dead Redemption, and that map was huge, and yet it still was manageable. And that is a game where you only had a horse and you.
Yeah.
Like, this is a game where you're going to have cars and tanks. It's going to be easier to get around. So I think 16 people is more than enough. In fact, it could be too much.
Potentially, yeah.
But then again, if you're running around with a group of 16 people all in the same gang, and can you imagine a 16 player heist in which not all 16 people are doing the heist, but there are some people who are on reconnaissance, there are some people who are getaway drivers, there are some people who, if they could implement that is something I'm interested in. What
I'm going to say at this point is, in a couple of weeks' time, when we've had a chance to play GTA Online, we'll come back and we'll talk about GTA Online in a similar way to how we talked about GTA 5. Are you up for that?
Yeah, because this is interesting. I mean, I think people at IGN have said this, and
we're speculating quite a bit at the moment.
It's not speculating, but how do you review GTA Online? Because it is essentially an additional add. It's essentially an additional add-on to GTA 5. But do you classify it as its own game, or do you classify it as a multiplayer to GTA?
What we'll do is, I know we haven't talked about this off air because I'm literally just looking at the clock and thinking I'm running out of video footage. We'll come back. We'll get back together in a couple of weeks when we've both had a chance to play it, and we'll talk about what we thought about it, and whether what we thought was going to be in it, and how we thought it was handled. You good for that?
Nope, I'm fine with it.
Okay, well let's get on to the closing of this, which is, and this is the bit that's going to be tough on you. We've got to star rate the game. Is this a 5 star? Is this a 5-star? Top of the, is this a
absolutely
a perfect game?
Absolutely.
I'd be much to agree with you. Yeah.
This isn't a perfect game. I'll come out and say this on record now. This isn't a perfect game, but it is a 5-star game.
Yeah.
The imperfections and the problems in this game are so small and so minute that everything else just completely overshadows it. Like, this is one of the few games in which the way the game has been made and the fact that we've spent 5 years, and I mean this game was supposed to be released originally in spring of this year. So these last 6 months, if these last 6 months they needed to make the game even better, then I mean I was banging the Rockstar drum and basically saying if they want 6 months, you give them these 6 months, because it's been proven with GTA 4. If you give them more time, you get a better game.
Yeah.
Look at Aliens Colonial. I mean, Aliens Colonial Marines is a hard one to call, because I mean that was more based around the fact that it was different companies and there was problems financially and whatever. But GTA 5 is a game that should have been out for 6-7 months now. The fact it's been out for a week, and I've not heard one bit of negative feedback from this game.
I haven't heard any negative feedback, and I genuinely was questioning whether we could really go 90 odd minutes just talking about how much we love this game. But every game has its pluses and its minuses, but in this case, this game has very few minuses. That it's this game is honestly one of the best games I've played in years.
I mean, I think the best way to close this out is we've spent 90 minutes talking about this, but to really, really just show you how big this game is.
Yeah.
GTA 5 is the biggest selling game in history.
Yeah.
Okay. It broke industry sale records by selling $800 million within the first 24 hours.
And it's been out less at the time of recording this. It's been out less than a week.
It's been out less than a week.
It's been out 6 days. At the time you guys are watching this, it's probably a week and a bit, but
it made $800 million in its first 24 hours.
24 hours.
It made over $1 billion in 3 days. It's the fastest selling entertainment product in history. That's movies, games, film, you name it. It's beaten films like Avatar. Avatar took like 7 days to get to $1 billion. And I mean, I know you could argue the price of a movie ticket is like $8. The price of a game is $60. So you can argue that there's a big hike in that. And obviously you've got to argue also as well that there's going to be collector's editions in there and special editions which cost more and whatever. But you can't argue.
That's a point. Did you get the special edition?
Collector's edition.
Can you tell us a little bit about what was in it and what you thought of that, and whether it
the collector's edition? The collector's edition. I mean, I'm going to say it's worth it, but then again, I'm a massive Rockstar.
No, but you know what I mean. The stuff that sort of if you had to itemize what came in your packet, right? If you had to itemize what came in your packet, are we talking money worth spent?
It's. I think £120 is what I spent for it is a bit much, but for what you get, when you get a replica flip back cap of a Los Santos cap, which I think is used in the game as people wear it, you get a GTA 5 money bag, you get a steelbook edition of GTA 5 in terms of the cover. You don't get the standard cover, you get a steelbook edition version, which is actually quite awesome. You get
the blueprint map of the area, which look nice.
You get 2 maps. You get the map that everybody gets. You get the blueprint map, which is actually currently sitting behind my computer right now. It's actually hanging up. It's actually blue tacked up on my wall.
Little request for you. Could you take a photograph of that, and I'll put it in at the end. I'll put it in at this point in the thing.
Yeah, I can do that.
If you can just take a photograph of it and your steelbook case, and I'll stick the photos in the video file for people to look at. In fact, you guys are looking at those. You guys are looking at those pictures now.
I think I've got the steelbook photo. I think I've actually already taken the photos. They should be on my Facebook page. I'll just send you the links that way. And
I'll put them on the I'll put them in the video so that the guys watching can look at it. And so you think it was worth the money invested?
I think it's a bit too much. I think £100 would have been sufficient, but for me, I think 120 is all right. But I think 100 at most for all of that, I think. But yeah,
Mm.
for a game that comes out once every 5 years, you can't really complain.
Yeah. So, thanks for joining me on this GTA 5 review, James.
Yeah, that's all right.
You know,
Anytime you speak GTA, I'm your man.
indeed, there was no doubt in my mind if I'm reviewing GTA 5, I've got to have you on. So where can the guys watching this? Where can they find you? Various places across the web, be that Facebook, Twitter, ChristianMingle.com, Life Invader. Where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at deadmanic616. Is basically where I'm at most of the time.
Um, and yeah, this I can of course be found at Tom Williams 1990 on both Twitter and Facebook. And yeah, obviously, leave likes and comments on this video to let us know what you thought. I know it's been quite a long one, but I think 100 minutes is more than sufficient for a game of this that's given us so much joy, and for a game this good, you know.
And this is the first GTA 5 review I'll be doing. Because at this rate, I'll probably be doing another 2 at this moment.
Well, obviously, I definitely wanted you on because you spot things that I miss, and you know, it's good to have somebody who's as into the game as you are here to talk about it. But this ends our conversation about GTA 5. For those of you watching, do make sure you check back on the channel for other content. I don't have much in the way of GTA 5 content, but that's just because everybody and their dog is recording them playing this game, and I question what I could do that would be different, and hence why I did this. Because this is different to what everybody and their dog is doing a let's play of GTA 5. And there's only so many of those you can watch in a week, and I know that you guys are more likely to watch Kevin or people like PewDiePie and stuff like that than you are to watch me playing the game, you know. Whereas this is something different that you guys can watch after you've played the game, and you can sort of revel in our sort of fun and enjoyment of having played the game. But this ends the GTA 5 review. Check back very soon for more content, including in a couple of weeks' time the review of GTA Online. So thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.